And all right, guys, welcome along to another episode of 420 News. Hope everybody is good out there. Just going to get my camera lined up a bit better there, actually. Savage stuff, guys. Apologies there, guys, for the delay in getting with you this evening. I was in the city there earlier on today, and we can hear you gurgling. Sorry about that, Mark. As I say, guys, I was in the city earlier on today, and I was in the city for a very good reason, and I have a very good reason for being slightly delayed to you today. That is because today I went into the city and held a little civil disobedience protest. I didn't make a big hullabaloo or fuss about this. This was a simple protest that involved going in and taking part in what we were talking about all along, the Feed the Birds campaign. And I went just that little bit further today, and I added in just a few extra hashtags there to the plants that I planted out. So here you have the first little hashtag, bring Alicia home, highlighting Alicia Maher's case, who's stuck over in Alicante at the moment. And the other tag then I connected to that was talk to Vera, which is one, I suppose, that doesn't really need any explanation here, being attached to Vera to me. And I don't know if you can notice there in the back of the photo inside in the Dunn's bag, it's actually a number of cannabis plants. And I planted those there in that little flower box, as can be seen here. And you can see the little banners that are the little tags that have gone in there with the plants. There's 3 cannabis plants inside in this inside in this bag or inside in this pot. And I planted another 3 over on the other side of the bridge. So that was today inside in Cork City, outside of just across from the Bridewell Garda station at the bridge there by Mayo's Cafe. So again, guys, that was just the reason why I was a little bit late coming in to you there today. I was in the city there running around planting plants. So yeah, that's my little contribution there, guys, to the Feed the Birds campaign. I don't know if you can see in this photo there, but I'll see if I can make this a little bit bigger on the screen there. But the top of these plants there, you see them at all? That's a male flower there on that. So there will be no buds coming off of these plants. Unfortunately, these are male flowers, so hopefully it'll deter anybody from digging them up too soon before people get down to take a photo with them. So guys, the aim of this campaign, or this little protest that I held today, is that there will be a number of these plants popping up around the city, and they will have those hashtags on the labels with them. I'm encouraging people to go along and take a photo with these plants that have been planted out around the place, and share your photo then on social media using those hashtags to help raise awareness as to the need for access to cannabis medicines here in Ireland for so many bloody patients. So we drive on then, guys, and we'll go to the next headline that I have for you today on 420 News. There was a gardener above in Drumcondra who was jailed for his part in producing cannabis. This was an individual, 31 years of age, Saranas Lubenskas. He's 31 and from Drumcondra in Dublin, and he was basically being paid €1,000 a month to live in a house that was being used to grow cannabis. And despite him, being paid to do this, and it's just his job to do it, he got jailed for 3 years. So me, you, and everybody else who contributes to the taxes of this country are now going to be cost. This is going to cost us over €300,000, as each prisoner in Ireland, on average, costs the taxpayer €100,000 every year. I believe it was over €101,000 the last time I checked that value, that the cost of having a prisoner in Ireland. So it's a sad state of affairs. This individual got caught in a house that had €100,000 worth of cannabis plants. So that's €100,000 worth of cannabis plants that we could have generated taxes off of. We could have created jobs with which would have generated even more taxes again. But instead now, because of the prohibition of drugs, because of these silly gardai that are out there playing these silly games, we're now going to be punished, all of us, all the taxpayers, because we've to cover this. Like, there's no need for it. Our taxpayers' money should be going to things that actually benefit our society. Things like our healthcare services. Things like the people who even clean up the streets. The street sweepers and things like that. Much better use of our taxpayers' money rather than paying a bunch of lunatic Gardaí to go out there and wage a war in our streets against non-violent people too. The people who use drugs quite often are not. They're very nice people. They're good people, and they are very quite often or not, they're not criminals. Unfortunately, because of them using drugs, they are seen to be criminals, and sometimes that does blur the lines even for the individual in question, and they might then engage in actual real criminal behaviour, such as robbing people for funding their drug use and things like that. So it's shameful. It's a waste of time. As I said, that this could have been €100,000 worth of cannabis plants produced. There would have been a 23% tax on that would have been produced by employees who would have been paying an income tax on their wages, who would have received a fair wage too for the work that they would have done here. And they would have then gone out into our economy and stimulated it by spending their wages. But no, unfortunately, it's backwards Ireland here still. And I see a few of your comments there, guys. Andreas adding in there that I would be stressed as feck going in protesting for weed because you could get arrested. You never know. Yeah, that's it. You never know. I left the house there today with a number of cannabis plants in my car. In total, there was 6 cannabis plants that I brought into the city today, and that would have been worth in the region of, is it €4,200, according to our Gardaí. So that would have been an interesting one, trying them putting that value on 6 male cannabis plants that had zero potential to be producing anything of a value at all. Certainly not nowhere near €4,200 anyway. So we have to make calculated decisions, I suppose, really, when it comes to our protesting, and there certainly is risks that are worth taking. So yeah, I must always add in there, I love a fair play, Martin. Nice one, guys, there for the nice comments. And Zombie Nation, what's going on? He says, well, hey, I remember today afternoon. All legend, well done. And guys, before I drive on actually to more news, Zombie's just after reminding me that I actually have a little a reminder here for all of you too. I believe it was Russell Banta there who was mentioning the last day that he wasn't getting notifications at all for my live streams. Well, that's I done a little investigation on that, guys, and this is what I've come up with. Basically, out of all of the over 1,500 people who've currently subscribed to the YouTube page, there is currently only 13.9% of ye, that is 214, who actually have clicked all notifications. So that means all of the rest of you who are subscribed, ye are under this one. So when you click the subscribed button, you would have subscribed to personalized notifications. So just to remind you guys that if you want to get all notifications for all of the live videos, just simply click the all. So what you do is you click the subscribe, make sure you're subscribed, then click the little bell icon, and then up will come these 3 options. And if you want to get all of the notifications, so as soon as I go live, if you would like to be notified, then follow those simple instructions. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and then hit all notifications. So nice one there for that reminder, Zombie. Oh no, we forgot me Ishka. Oh well. So we drive on, guys, and we'll hit the rest of the news for today. The next headline is coming out of County Roscommon, where unfortunately our Gardaí are after seizing over €500,000 worth of suspected cannabis. And in the process of doing so as well, they've arrested a rather young man. This was a man who was 20 years of age, or in his 20s anyway. A man has been arrested after the Gardaí seized over €590,000 worth of suspected cannabis during a search operation in County Roscommon. And as part of an intelligence operation, Gardaí obtained a search warrant for a residence in French Park. The search was carried out at 3:30 p.m. today by the Roscommon and Longford Divisional Drug Units, And that was actually carried out yesterday. And during the course of the search, a sophisticated grow house was discovered in the residence and external sheds on the property. A total of 139 cannabis plants of varying maturity were seized with an estimated street value of €112,000. So here's a picture of the plants. Quite a nice setup, in fairness. Quite a really nice setup. Really nice lights that they have there as well. They've got LEDs set up right across the span of the grow, which are then also supplemented with HPS lights up above, so the high pressure sodium. So like this is quite an extensive operation, in fairness. The individual who caught in this, like only a young fella, again as I say, in his 20s, most likely just probably employed to come in and look after this. You can see trailing along the floor up at the centre actually is the water connections that would be connected to a large water reservoir tank, and all of these plants then would have been automatically fed by gravity from that reservoir. So again, a very nice setup, in fairness. Like it's a real shame that whoever it was that set this up wasn't able to do so legally in Ireland and able to employ people, pay them a fair wage, and to deliver a high quality product out to the Irish cannabis consuming community, as there is a lot of us out there. Like there is so many of us out there, in fairness. And all these people are doing is trying to supply the community with cannabis. Now, obviously, at the same time, look, they're looking to fill their pockets as well at the same time. But how bloody bad? Like, yeah, they can be ambitious. Like, we need good cannabis. We need it to be grown here in Ireland, and hopefully it's not being grown by slaves. Hopefully the young fella involved in this, who was actually being paid to look after this grow, was actually getting paid a decent wage, decent enough to actually get caught at this setup. As I say, €112,000 worth of cannabis plants were found, alongside of 22.5 kilos of vacuum-packed cannabis herb also, and that was valued at €480,000 then as well. So again, €480,000, let's just say €500,000, slap a 23% tax on that, like, and you've got like, what is €115,000 that would have went to the exchequer, that would have went in for, maybe employing a couple of more Jared Rose to go out there and engage with our young people in our communities in order to deter them from getting into lives of crime. It's sad. It's a real missed opportunity by the Irish state that we've continued with our war on drugs, with our failed prohibition of cannabis, and still we have organised crime gangs out there who are, benefiting greatly from it, and meanwhile patients are suffering. I've seen other news out there, and I haven't actually included it in today's headlines. It was a headline that was talking about the Can-E pill, so CANNE pill, PILL. So that's a new drug that's available through the Medical Cannabis Access Program. It's a cannabis-based drug that's designed by a company, I believe they're over in Slovakia or somewhere like that anyway. MGC, I think, is the name of the pharmaceutical company. And basically, there's a number of headlines going around saying that these guys have been approved, and the Irish public can now go to their doctor and get this for free under their Medical Cannabis Access Program. But I don't think that's true. I've seen that now printed in a number of different locations out there in news pieces. But it's not, I don't believe it's true. I know Gino Kenny mentioned it maybe yesterday or the day before, that look, there is progress being made, and very soon doctors will be able to prescribe medical cannabis products under the MCAP program. But it's still not active to date. I don't know of any doctors out there currently prescribing cannabis through the Medical Cannabis Access Program. I don't know of any patients who've currently gotten access either. So yeah, I'm just kind of suspicious really as to the source of that story and what they're actually on about. It's interesting as well when you read into this Can-E pill. It's after being used over in places like Australia, and I believe it's Germany also, and it's prescribed for use as an anti-epileptic drug. But in Australia, it's been prescribed for insomnia. It's been prescribed for chronic pain. It's after being prescribed for um, chronic, intestinal IBD, intestinal IBD, irritable bowel disorder, IBD, and a number of other kind of off-label uses. So it'll be interesting to see here when it comes to Ireland, will they be allowed to prescribe this for the off-label uses like they are over in places like Australia? But again, you have to think of what an incredible advantage it is to be one of the 3 products that are currently listed under the Medical Cannabis Access Programme when it actually gets active. You know, there's a lot of money going to be made because these people will basically have a monopoly on the market here in Ireland. So yeah, that is the 500,000 worth of cannabis anyway, guys, that was seized up in Roscommon. And I will drive on to other news out there. And before I do that, I'll just have a quick look over at your comments, guys. Mark Andrew says, one stripped plant makes a wicked cacao. Nice one, I didn't know that at all. And Podge85 says, remember to hit that like button, guys. A legend, Podge. And a legend to everybody who's after hitting that like and subscribe button already, guys, and sharing the stream there as well. I see Irush already after giving it a host there over on Twitch. You're a legend, Irush. Thanks very much as always for supporting the show. And Zombie Nation adding in, exactly, well said, Martin. Have you met us stoners? Yes, Teresa says, hi Friday, Martin. Yes, I hope you're well out there, Teresa. And Zombie Nation adding in there as well on that last one. Look at all those micros. The micros are actually the lights there. That's I believe it's an Irish light producer. It's made here in Ireland, all of these lights. So quite a number of them, and I believe they're worth like as a €500 or €600 each or something like that. And how many of you have you got down along this? Like quite a few. You got a couple of €1,000 worth of lights here alone. Again, as I say, like quite a nice setup in fairness, like so well spotted there, Zombie. And yeah, good bit of free advertising for Shane. Yeah, and it's a damn shame to see all those lights go to waste. And that's coming in from Green Tea. Those lights could be used for so much great cannabis could be grown, and so many other more plants too. Other comments as well. Skatana says, what a dream of a grow, and so sad to see this busted. Far from that with my wardrobe DIY build. Hey, don't be knocking those wardrobe grows, guys. Seriously. Even if you're only getting like a 50 bag worth of cannabis off of your grow to your wardrobe, I'm sure it's going to be the best 50 bag you've ever tasted. And Mistawis, I wonder if I told him I want to do an art installation. It's a very good one, a very good idea actually, Mistawis. If you're looking for somebody to partner with on your art installation, give me a shout. More than enough equipment there to go around, I'm sure. Zombie Nation adding in, do the Garda not do auctions for the seized kit? Ours do every month. Laugh out loud, buy your grow equipment cheap from the old bill. I didn't know that actually over in the UK that they do that. I'm not sure here what they do with it. I'd imagine it probably just goes into a skip and gets destroyed, because if they were to sell it on, it's quite possible they're just going to be seizing it again, should they be fucking lucky enough to find it again. Green Tea ordered a pair of UV's sunglasses from abroad, and the customs from the front of the envelope said grow room accessories, and now I'm shitting myself. Oh no. Yeah, those blue shades, they kind of filter out all of the orange light, so you get a good view inside, and your things are really good for taking pictures actually inside in the grow room. Because sometimes the high pressure sodium lights can put an awful kind of an orange glow onto your pictures, which really takes away from the quality. And Hype TCK saying, I've seen the damage them so they can't be used again, and skip them in the UK, such a waste. Yeah, that's a pity. They do actually do a lot of damage in there. I've seen the cops actually going into people's grows, and rather than like plug out plugs, they just cut wires. They literally cut wires off of everything so that they can't be used again. And if they're cutting the wires, quite often or not, then they will leave all of that property behind at the premises for the grower to dispose of themselves. It's probably something that they've learned themselves over the years, rather than bringing all this equipment back to the bloody garda station or to the cop shop. Just cut the wires so they can't use it again, and let them dispose of it themselves. Scumbags, man, aren't they? Green Tea says, your specialist can now prescribe it. I rang his Nora this morning and I still have to send in the minister's letter and a handwritten note to say what I want prescribed. Am I supposed to know which? How are you even supposed to know which? You know, it's unfortunate that they're putting patients in such a predicament that you're supposed to know what to be done. That's very unfortunate. If your specialist is the one who's able to prescribe it, they should be educated on what they're prescribing and what to be prescribing to. It shouldn't be down to the patient to be going in and educating the specialist at all, although I can see why it is the case here currently, but hopefully that will change very soon, so your situation then can improve. Nice one for sharing all of that again, Green Tea, much appreciated. Zombie Nation adding in there, yeah, seen that in person and got a lot of jobs to repair the damage after the old bill have kicked the door off. Oh man, I've seen that damage too as well firsthand, like, and they completely destroy the door frame like that. The battens have to be replaced and everything, like, scumbags, like they could have probably just knocked and would have been left in, but meanwhile, no, just a no knock approach, like just blow in the door. Amy Riley asking, can they get trials going, Green Tea? They would learn so much if they work and learn from users, run trials and tests. That's it. That's what I've been saying for so long, that the Medical Cannabis Access Program was supposed to be set up just for that, so that they could do these trials, so they could better understand how cannabis was working for the patients. But unfortunately, they failed to utilise it for those reasons. And it's shameful. We've colleges all across Ireland, many of them that are well equipped to be able to grow and extract cannabis and turn it into a product that could be used by a patient. And, you know, again, at those colleges, they have clinicians and people that would know how to collect the data then from the patients in order to maximise our learning from that campaign, you know. Real wasted opportunity, and all because of the silly prohibition that exists currently around cannabis. Podge85 saying that's still jumping through hoops though to get prescribed. Yeah, it really is. And Mustawa is saying, I got some great tips from the pics cops post of Red's setups over the years. Yeah, I take inspiration from wherever you can get it, man. Legends. Zombie Nation, Husky mate, they probably do, mate. COVID and all. And yeah, other comments. Katana says, yes please, I've learned that it really helps with my ADHD and it brought me a great relief on die part years long as it had CBG. And other comments out there, guys. Zombie Nation says, we have Gino Kenny on the show soon. Looking forward to that. Great to hear that, Zombie. Look forward to seeing Gino joining on the podcast. Right, we'll jump back into the news there, guys, because I'll keep reading on your comments there. Otherwise, DB Woodcraft saying Gino needs to push further with full legalisation and we can't stop now. I hope we see Gino actually at the protest that's organised for Dublin next month on the 10th of July. That's the major smoke up. It would be great to see Gino at that, and I hope it's already on his calendar now that it's been announced. It would be rather shameful if he doesn't attend. But we drive on, guys, because there was a man found with some cannabis and cocaine in his car in Laois. Oh, the shock and horror. But thankfully, this man has made a monumental change to his life. Or is his solicitor just giving an old story there in order to get this individual off? This is the story of Eric dos Santos, who's 20 years of age and from Port Arlington. Shout out to R420 Supplies up above there in Port Arlington. Hope all is well, guys, at R420 Supplies. Check them out online, guys, r420.ie. But Eric dos Santos, 20 years of age, he pleaded guilty to possession of cannabis and possession for sale and supply at Port Arlington or Portlaoise Road, Port Arlington, on January 21st of this year. He also pleaded guilty to charges of possession and possession for sale and supply at the Abbeyleix Road on November 6th of 2020. Sergeant Kirby told the court that on November 6th at the Abbeyleix Road, Portlaoise, a car was stopped at a checkpoint. There was a smell of cannabis from the car, and cannabis and cocaine were found in the car with a value of €1,170. On January 22nd then of this year, on Portlaoise Road in Port Arlington at 9:30 p.m, a car was stopped. A cannabis then was discovered in the car, valued at €335. Sergeant Kirby applied for a disqualification order given the two separate offences. Defending solicitor Josephine Fitzpatrick then said that in the offence in November 2020, Garda Quinn accepted that the use was for Mr. Dos Santos himself and his friends. The drugs were for sharing amongst them for Halloween. On the other matter, he was using the drugs to support his habit then. Miss Fitzpatrick said he was a Brazilian native who had grown up in Naas. He came to Ireland at the age of 5 and left school at the age of 15. He had experimented with drugs. She said then that when he moved to Port Arlington, he had tried to make friends but had fallen in with a wrong crowd. After January, he had to move out of his home. He went to Cork, where he got work in a stable yard. He got work in a stable yard and lived in accommodation nearby. He starts work at 7:30 a.m. every morning, Monday to Friday. It had a positive effect on him. He had made a monumental change in his life. Judge Staines said she wanted to check with Garda Quinn that he was accepting what the drugs were allegedly used for, and she later then fined the individual only €300 on the Section 15 charge and took into consideration the other charges. So again, a guy who got caught with quite a bit of cannabis, quite a bit of cocaine, and he got a €300 fine, and that was it, lucky ducky. That's all I'll say on that one. A waste of time. It's unfortunate here that this individual found himself having to be brought to the court for his own personal drug use. A couple of friends out sharing drugs at Halloween, and then one of them ended up in court for it. He made monumental changes to his life, and that's because the criminalization that comes with the drugs, the prospect of being locked up, that's scary, especially for a Brazilian man living here in Ireland. If he's probably unable to get a job because of having criminal convictions and stuff like that'll probably mess up his position here. So it is an unfortunate position, and of course the guy is going to be scared shitless because his entire future is in jeopardy, because the judge could easily do him for sale and supply and lock him up for a couple of months or even a couple of years if he wanted to, giving the amount of drugs that were seized by the Gardaí. So again, a lucky one for this individual, but for us as taxpayers, again, like where's our value for money? A man was caught with drugs. He was brought before the court. He was given a petty slap on the wrist. Why isn't that what we're changing this? Why can't the Gardaí give this slap on the wrist at the side of the road? If a Gardaí catches you with a little bit of cannabis, why isn't it a 20-30 euro fine and no criminal conviction, no fucking your entire future jeopardized, no freedom of travel infringed upon, none of that stuff? Like, because we can do it for speeding. If you got caught speeding on a road, like, you get a fine at the side of the road and you pay that fine and you get a few points on your license and stuff, but there's no real criminal conviction for it. But there is then for getting caught with cannabis, which is a real joke, and we really need to see change. Now, I don't want to see that as the change. The change I want to see is I want to see cannabis legalised and for us to be able to grow it, and for the Gardaí to no longer have powers to stop and search us because we smell like we might have cannabis in our pockets. Jog on, like. And we jog on from that story anyway, and we go to another one where another Cork drug dealer was up in court kind of giving the old "I've turned my life around" story. But the Cork garda then was having none of it, and he was disputing the claims being made by the defendant, that he turned his life around. The guard believes that this individual, who he sees as a person of interest in the area when it comes to drug dealing, um, yeah, the person he sees of interest. This individual, anyway, is 34 years of age, and he had 3 previous convictions for drug dealing, and he was convicted, guess how many times? 27 times for having drugs for his own personal use. He was convicted twice for allowing his home to be used for the preparation of drugs, and once for the cultivation of cannabis. At 34 years of age, and he has, what's that, like, is it 33 convictions he has there, all for his drug use? What a waste of time, what a waste of the court's time. This man should not have been up before the courts at all. And again, for the Garda to be up there, questioning whether this individual has turned his life around, like, give a guy a break, will you? Give him a chance. And in fairness, like, he's only getting caught with cannabis. He's only grown a bit of cannabis. Leave him off, like, in fairness. Like, go away and catch a real criminal. Why don't you go and catch a bloody rapist or a murderer or something, like, But no, sadly, he's after this individual. This was after he pleaded guilty to having €2,000 worth of cannabis for sale and supply at O'Mahony's Avenue in Bandon on July 11th, 2019. So this is almost 2 years ago that this individual got caught with this cannabis. The detective guard at Colm O'Mahony said the accused was stopped at 6 p.m. on that date. Oh, excuse me. Carrying a rucksack on his back. When approached by the Gardaí, he became nervous and unsettled and agitated, and attempted to escape from the Gardaí. As well as the 2 packets containing a total of €2,000 worth of cannabis, Santos also had the broken butt of a pool cue in his bag and a mobile phone. Jesus, a mobile phone. Who would have thought a person would have a mobile phone in their bag? Alright, the pool cue, alright, like, it really goes to show the effects of prohibition on our society when you've individuals walking around our towns with pool cues, broken pool cues inside in their bags, in order to inflict harm upon a person who might be a threat to them because they're involved in the illegal trade of cannabis. Again, if the trade of cannabis was legal, you would be maybe 99% sure this kind of stuff is probably not going to be happening around the streets of Cork, in relation to the transport of cannabis, anyway, that is. When first interviewed, he made no comment to the Gardaí, and the detective described Santos as an Irish Portuguese and living in Bandon most of his life. Peter O'Flynn, the defence barrister, suggested the detective was basing his opinion on the defendant's past record rather than his present life, and that he is now a changed man. The detective Garda O'Mahony responded to that suggestion, saying, "I would reject that wholeheartedly." The solicitor then, or the barrister, said his parents were drug users and were tolerant of him smoking cannabis, and all of his peers in Bandon smoked cannabis too. He has changed himself in the last number of years, and again the detective said, "I would reject that, and I would not accept he has changed his ways at all." And he's my buddy then, Judge Sean O'Donovan, residing over this case at the Cork Circuit Criminal Court, said that there was clearly a difference of opinion between the prosecution and the defence in question, and whether or not the defendant had put his past behind him. So rather than finalising the case there and then, Judge Sean O'Donovan said he would prolong it a bit longer because he said, there's not enough cases there, he's got to keep himself busy. And he says that's not enough either. He said he has a few buddies there over at the old drug testing labs, so he's going to send this fellow over for some urine analysis between now and September 20th, when his case is going to be back up. So this guy Dos Santos is going to have to go to the drug testing labs, produce clean specimens of urine to pass the test. He has to prove that he hasn't been consuming cannabis, again at the expense of us, the taxpayers, and much to the benefit of Judge Sean O'Donovan and the drug testing labs out there. Shameful. So we drive on from that one then, guys, from West Cork, and we go to another one in West Cork, where in West Cork there was a a truck driver nabbed for drug driving after he was first being detected for having an overweight vehicle. So this was down in West Cork after the Gardaí stopped the truck for suspicion of being overweight. And it was later found actually that the truck was 2 tons overweight. And also then the Gardaí took it upon themselves, for what reason I don't know, to drug test the driver of the truck. And as we would know then, the driver of the truck tested positive. But as we know, that doesn't necessarily... Oh, excuse me, guys. Oh. That doesn't necessarily indicate that the driver was impaired. It just indicates that maybe the guy had a smoke the night or the day before, and the metabolites of the cannabis were still being detected in his system. Both the truck driver and the truck were detained, and the Gardaí then went and kind of shamed them as well a little bit up on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. You see John out there on about the obese vehicles. They're truck shaming him. He the fat truck. But yeah, unfortunate it's circumstances here for this truck driver. Most likely, unless he's self-employed, he's going to lose his job here because producing a specimen of blood now that will produce 1 nanogram of THC per milliliter of blood, that will see this guy lose his driving license. And if he's driving trucks for a living, well, guess what? You can't work anymore, buddy. So it's unfortunately, again, the Gardaí have even said it in the past, in statements to the media, that they know when they catch somebody, say on a Wednesday, that if they got caught for drug driving and if it was cannabis, that there's a potential that that person was consuming the cannabis maybe the Friday or the Saturday before, 5 or 6 days beforehand. But because of the metabolism of cannabis, they'll still detect it that far away. And there is a zero tolerance policy in Ireland. And again, this is just straight up discrimination. A person out there now losing their livelihood because of this stupid war on drugs, because of these flawed drug policies we have in place. So shaming the policymakers that have been so ignorant up until now and have been so resistant to any changes happening. And then we go from there, guys. We travel a little bit away from there. We head over to Portugal. So over in Portugal, the Portuguese government are now considering plans to legalise cannabis production and sale for adult use. This was during a parliamentary debate that took place about just under 10 days ago. It was on Wednesday the 9th of June. When 2 political parties in Portugal, the Left Bloc and the Liberal Initiative, each presented proposals for adult use of cannabis legalisation. So there wasn't just one party arguing for it, it was 2. They both put forward their own bills of the for cannabis legalisation. The outcome of the debate was that an agreement that both bills will be sent to the Health Committee for a period of 60 days. So as I say, just over 50 days now remaining of that deliberation, during which public hearings can be made, amendments presented and negotiations carried out before a deciding vote occurs in Parliament. A spokesperson for the Parliament of Portugal said that due to the timing of the debate and the 60-day period of negotiations, the bill more than likely won't go for a final voting before the end of this legislative session, with the session scheduled to end in late July, the next one being then on the 15th of the... Oh, geez, sorry guys, I know I'm yawning so much. But the next one being on the 15th of September of this year. So I'll keep an eye out on that in September when that comes back up and the Portuguese government actually have a vote then on the bills that are put forward. Fingers crossed it'll be a positive outcome and we will have Portugal then stepping up and not only being the first country, I believe, in Europe to decriminalise all drugs, being one of the first actually legalise cannabis for adult use on a national level. So some of the policies that are being proposed over there in the bill. So both parties are essentially proposing that the cultivation, distribution, purchasing, possession and consumption of adult use cannabis be legalised. They go on to say that self-cultivation for personal use would be allowed if either bill was passed, with a maximum of 5 or 6 plants permitted per home. The left bloc bill proposes 5 plants, while the Liberal initiative proposes 6 plants. I would say that's far too less, far too little. I think there should be no limit, because as I was only saying the other day, imagine you want to grow out your back garden, you want to grow 10 different strains, and you want to grow enough of each of those different strains to last you until the next growing season the following year, which is about 12 months. So 12 months of cannabis might not be achievable with 5 or 6 plants. So again, if people want to be self-sufficient, the government need to get out of the way of that. They need to stop inferring that people will engage in some sort of criminal behaviour should they be allowed to grow more than 5 or 6 plants, as been suggested here. But both bills then that were debated in the Parliament on Wednesday, 2 weeks ago, also recommended that there should be a limit of the amount of cannabis an individual can purchase at one time. Again, why do they do that for alcohol? If I go in and buy vodka, am I told, hey, you're only allowed 1 bottle, or you're only allowed by half a shot, buddy? No, like there is no restrictions on it. So why do we do it for cannabis? They also have restrictions in place for consumption. Consumption would not be allowed at work, in closed places of public frequency, in places intended for children, or on public transport, for example. I would go and say restrictions in place for consumption should go as far as be similar or the same as consumption of tobacco. That cannabis, if it's being smoked, it can only be smoked in places where, tobacco consumption is also tolerated. A lot of places now have laws around consuming in public places and in enclosed places for tobacco. So we just apply those laws for cannabis. I don't see why we have to overcomplicate it or make it even more restrictive for people to consume or medicate with their cannabis products. Government imposed limitations on the sale of products containing high levels or doses of THC. Robust and proper labelling on products, packaging in relation to THC or CBD content, effects of consumption and health warnings. Again, I can't argue with that. Jeez, lads, I don't know why I'm so fucking yawny. Apologies, I'm hoping I'm not making all of you yawn out there as well. So those are just some of the recommendations that are coming forward from the two parties there over in Portugal. So again, some positive news there coming out of Portugal, and thank goodness for that. Again, as I say, hopefully I'll have some more positive news to report on in September when that goes for vote. So we drive on from there, guys, and we go to Argentina, where the Argentinian government are considering legalizing or at least further restricting the production of cannabis in their country. This is for both industrial and medicinal uses, and this is following, the decriminalization of small-time possession and personal production of cannabis in the country about 2 years ago. So they've gone on now from there, and they're now looking to actually legislate for it on a national level to allow for production on a level where it can be exported out of the country. This is because Argentina, I suppose, is right next to Uruguay, and Uruguay legalized cannabis not too long ago now. It was about 2-3 years ago, I suppose, and they've benefited greatly from it. There's a number of companies down there that are producing cannabis for medicinal reasons, and they're exporting it out of the country, and they're generating jobs, they're generating revenue within the country of Uruguay. I believe one of the largest shipments of cannabis ever in the world, at least legally anyway. I don't know about the illegal ones. Sorry, just seeing the comments there about Outlaw. I'll have a read off them in a second. But that came out of Uruguay, and it was, I believe it was by Tilray. Tilray imported over a couple of tons, I believe, of cannabis from Uruguay to Portugal sometime, I think it was last year. So again, maybe Argentina are kind of seeing the potential there now in their neighbouring country and saying, hey, come here, we want a slice of that pie. Interestingly enough, in Argentina, they kind of have something similar to America in that they have the districts or something like that over there that they're allowed to make up their own rules in their own districts. And some of the districts over there have actually had medical cannabis available to their public since as early as 2014. So it's interesting to see, 7 years later, and it's only now they're actually looking at actually legalizing it. While it wasn't legal on, say, the federal level in Argentina, certain districts or certain states within Argentina had allowed for the production and the supply of cannabis for medicinal reasons within their area. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Hopefully soon Ireland will be reporting on something of the same. That we're going to change our cannabis policies here. We're going to allow for adults to grow their own cannabis. We're going to allow for the sale and supply of cannabis to adults. Fingers crossed, as I say, the dominoes are dropping all around us. It's only a matter of time before the momentum builds and all of them are knocked over. And this the house of cards that the prohibition of cannabis was built upon has all but crumbled and fell. So we drive on to the last news piece then of today, guys, and it is the Tiger King, Joe Exotic. He's launching his own cannabis line from prison. That's an interesting one. I didn't even think that was something that was even possible. From behind bars, the dude is still making a name for himself. So here he is pictured up on screen there, old Joe Exotic. And I suppose if you don't know who this guy is, you must have been living under a rock there throughout the pandemic, because this guy became rather famous at the start of the pandemic when his Netflix documentary went on air. I think he got locked up because of his an assassination attempt on that old Carl Baskin. So yeah, funny enough, like Joe Exotic now getting into the cannabis game from behind bars over there in America. This is the Tiger King star came up with the idea last July, and it's been set in motion since then. His attorney Brad Small told the gossip site that they have a deal locked for Mr. Exotic to partner with Tango Hotel Charlie Group and a Canna XXS Limited to launch Joe Exotic Cannabis. Apparently, Joe has been directly involved in the weed industry through calls and emails with his attorney. The deal includes the various companies financially taking care of the funds with Joe's name attached to the products. Small told the gossip site that the products include CBD edibles and will be sold in dispensaries throughout California, Colorado, Oklahoma, even though recreational THC is illegal in California and Colorado. Only medical is approved in Joe's old turf in Oklahoma. According to TMZ, part of the reason Joe is dabbling in cannabis is to help those who use cannabis to ease their pain from various ailments, because he's such a big-hearted individual, isn't he? He's a character, in fairness. Like, that was a great old show. His lawyer went on to say then that the launch will happen in the forthcoming weeks, and a share of Joe's profits will go towards captive tiger care. Joe said in the year since the Netflix dossiers dropped, his life has been a living hell. That includes when he became distraught after his husband told him he was leaving him. That's unfortunate. Condolences there, Joe, man, and the old breakdown of your partnership with your partner and all that stuff. But yeah, interesting enough, Joe Exotic getting involved in cannabis from behind bars too, nonetheless. The Tiger King strikes back. What's that, Podge? Other comments on that out there. Yeah, Tilray is in Canada and other countries. Products are not so good, I hear. Yeah, Tilray is in lots of places, and Uruguay was one of the countries they went to because production was cheaper down there, and yeah, production's cheaper. These guys care about money. um, so that's it, guys, for today's 420 news. Much appreciated, everybody, for tuning in. I'll have a quick flick through there. Yeah, our comments, and yeah, I'll pack up a bowl there as well because I haven't had a bowl yet since the start of the show. See if I have enough squirt of water there. Me squeeze the bottle. Yeah, that done. The cotton mouth was getting serious there. Like even that little dribble there did me good. Oh, forgot to empty the bowl before filling her up. Smooth, Marty. Yes. Nice bowl of civil disobedience parked up there. I don't know, is the camera going to zoom in? Zoom in, camera. Focus. There we go. Yes, it focused, finally. Yeah, baby. Back on me. There you go. Good work, cameraman. And put the bowl on top there because again, let's see if we can get the camera to do some focus work. Block out my face. Zoom focus. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of focusing there a little bit. That's a little bit of hash there in my fingers. So we'll put a little bit of hash into this bowl and we'll make it extra smoky. Because I like them that way. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael have led Ireland over the past 100 years, and yet we still struggle to survive. While all the fat cats get richer and richer, and that's coming in from Podge. Man, yeah, that's it. Like, it'll be very interesting to see what happens up in the Dublin South Bay election that's going to be happening on, I think it's the 6th or the 8th of July. But yeah, I think People Before Profit are running a cannabis-friendly candidate. So certainly, she's getting a nod from me currently. I'm unaware of any other candidates up there running who are cannabis-friendly candidates. And I do know it was Bridget something. Maybe somebody out there in the comment section might be able to fill me in on her surname. But Bridget is the candidate from People Before Profit running above there in the Dublin South Bay by-election. And they held an event last night actually above in a green space above there in Dublin. I couldn't find any stream for it. I don't think it was streamed. I think it was just an event they held in person and they didn't record anything from it, unfortunately. But that event was specifically aimed at looking at cannabis and legalizing it in Ireland. So again, good to hear that there is at least one pro-cannabis candidate on that Dublin South Bay election ticket. Hopefully I will be able to learn of more over the coming weeks. And yeah, legend there, DB Woodcraft for that. The surname there is Purcell. So that's Bridget Purcell of the People Before Profit. So if you're above there in the Dublin South Bay area and you're looking for a candidate to get behind, Bridget Purcell is certainly one who's captured my attention anyway so far. As I say, I've not been none of the other candidates have captured my attention at all. So yeah, we'll have a look at some other comments out there, guys. Sorry, just flick up there into some of them. Zombie Nation adding in, I smoke all day long, I repair houses for a living and drive from one to the other. Don't look like a stoner, don't smell like a stoner, but being stopped loads, never tested. Lucky you, Zian. Lucky you. Touch fucking wood, actually. I'm not jinxing myself, but I actually haven't had the pleasure of doing any of those Drogger 5000 tests either. And to be very honest, I probably would decline the privilege of doing so, and insist on being just brought back to the guard station and having a drug test done instead, a blood test done instead, because those Draugr 5000s are nonsense anyway. Green tea, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil don't work for us. They work for multinationals, lobbyists, and big pharma. Yep, don't disagree with you there anyway, that's for sure. They certainly don't represent the people of Ireland. Podge 85 adding in that at the end, I meant there, yeah, sorry, I won't read your conversation there actually. Amy Riley adding in, lead breaks down eventually, can see a change coming. Yeah, that's very fucking true. I can see a change coming as well. It's certainly there on the horizon, and it's getting coming upon us a lot faster as the days go by. Miss Laois says, same here as Ian, being stopped and all, but being lucky enough. Horrible to be at their mercy though. Yeah, it is very it's hard, right, man. You know what I mean? Your heart's in your throat, like, you know. It's a horrible situation. Amy Riley saying, go get the Ishka, Martin. I'll certainly have to go get it after this next bong hit anyway, that's for sure. And Podge adding in, it's a horrible truth at green tea. And DB Woocraft adding in, at green tea, that's the unfortunate ongoing truth of this country for decades. Hashtag a vote for change. Green tea saying, Fianna Fáil are like the dinosaurs watching the meteor hurtling towards Earth. Yeah. I was only having a nice conversation with a couple in town there today. They were an elderly couple, maybe 50s. And yeah, they were talking just about that, about the government and how they're very reactive to things, and they lack all sorts of proactiveness. They don't show any proactiveness. They just deal with problems as they arise rather than to try to preempt problems before they arise. That's the fucking level of government that we have in this country. But a bunch of reactionary boys in suits. Look out for their buddies. Shouting in a bucket says, need to get this Martin lad into power. Do a better job than that other Martin lad that's in power anyway, that's for sure. Oh, Micheál's gotta go. He's a Cork man, like, in fairness, and he's up there now, and he's been in power for over a year, and he's doing nothing to help one of the more legendary Cork women out there, that is Vera Toomey. Now, he's done a bit to help her to date, thanks to Micheál Martin. Vera actually came back from Holland. That time she was stuck over there as a medical cannabis refugee. But, you know, it kind of stopped there then. He's helped, you know, it's been kind of few, at the times he's helped, it's been few and far between. Now he's the Taoiseach of the country. He could do a lot with his power up there. He could come out and say, hey, I want this prohibition of cannabis to be sorted out, and I would like the patients to be getting much more effective access than what they currently are getting. But no, unfortunately, he's not going to be doing that. Shameful to call him a fellow Cork man. John Finnegan adding in, I agree, fecked up. What if you want to have a perpetual grow type of thing? Exactly. Like, whatever type of grow system you want, you shouldn't have to justify it at all. You should be allowed to grow whatever you want to grow, as long as you're not engaged in illegally selling it afterwards. DB Woodcraft adding in her admission, I just recently found out about Outlaw. Whoa, what a dude. Need more like him. Taking on the British Empire sounds familiar. Yeah, I know of Outlaw for quite a bit, and I've reached out to him a couple of times trying to get him on the podcast, but unfortunately haven't been successful in doing that to date. But he is a legend. He does some amazing stuff over there in the UK. And yeah, he is bringing the UK government to court now and challenging the laws. So fair play to him and that. Like, he's done an amazing job. He's put together an amazing campaign. He has a really cool website out there as well. He's generated a lot of funds through his website, and he's hired a legal team now with those funds. So yeah, he's doing some amazing work, and he's partnered now with Cedar Future and another of other organisations out there to kind of strengthen the fight that they have on their hands. Yeah, Amy adding in, Portugal have a sussed. We can learn from each other. Just can't forget who we are as Irish folks. That's fucking true. And DB Woodcraft says, Chuck a law, our day will come. Yes, it will. Podge85 says, if you had a mix of Canadian and Portuguese drug laws, it would be perfect. Amy Riley adding in, I actually have a training plan mixed with them. Thanks, Podge, for that reminder. And Dreamer77 says, Tilray is in Canada and other countries. Product not so good, I hear. Yeah, that's true. I've definitely heard. I've heard good and bad about their products. I've heard great things that their variety is great. They have a very wide variety over at Tilray. But sometimes, yeah, the quality of product can be a bit substandard. But yeah. Mark Andrew, cloning, I guess, would be the answer. It certainly could be one answer, all right. But then as well, when you talk about cloning, if you're only allowed to have 6 plants, does that include 6 clones? As that really screws it up for you then if it does. Green tea adding in, lads, I feel like I smoke too much. This Tiger King thing is bizarre. It is, like, it's almost as if it's been made up. Like, you can't really fucking, you can't understand it. There's people locked up for buying and growing cannabis and selling cannabis in America. Meanwhile, a guy in prison for something not related to cannabis is able to set up a business to do with cannabis while in prison. It really boggles the bloody mind. Skatana says he's an animal abuser and a tiger murderer. No empathy for that bastard. That's very fucking true, man. He was certainly killing tigers there at his sanctuary, and he was abusing them too as well. He was exploiting those poor fucking tiger cubs in order to kind of do his animal tours, getting people to pet him and all of this stuff. Like, I definitely don't think the guy was a good guy at all. I just thought he was an entertaining character. That was for sure. But if I was to kind of say, was he a good guy or a bad guy, I definitely think he was of a substandard quality anyway. That's Joe Exotic. He was funny, don't get me wrong, he was funny, but he was certainly he had a dark side. And CN adding in, nice one, Martin. Being a good one, smoking too much is not possible. I test the theory every day. Yes, definitely. I'm going to blaze this one up there now, as it's been sitting here beside me for the last 5 minutes as I waffle on through all of your comments. And get your comments in there, guys, if you happen to got the time. As I blaze this one up, actually, I might just have a quick look behind the green screen there for me water. I know it's nearby. As I said, I knew I had brought one up with me. This stuff just keeps on smoking. Putting on headphones at one hand there can be a bit difficult. Still going. Oh, so good. Jeez. Oh, decent. Yeah, I see a few comments out there about the hash. Pods 4420 saying haven't had a bit of good hash in years. And I think Podge was asking there as well that am I still on the old hash? Yeah, I've actually had a problem with getting a good source of hash as well. I was lucky enough there that my buddy who does a little bit of growing, we were able to work together to make a little bit of a isolator hash, and that my grower buddy was kind enough just to share a little bit with me, um, and I'm forever grateful with him. I believe they've actually harvested recently there again soon, and that there should be some shake dry. So I'll see if he'll allow me to bring my camera along, and we can maybe record the process so you can see how the hash actually gets made and stuff like that. Even though there's loads of videos out there already, we'll just put an old Cork twist on it, will we? Oh, that felt good. Yes. Ah. I see some comments out there. DB Woodcraft says, I'm touching wood all the time. The dirty comment there, DB. In fairness, DB, I seen your work of art. Guys, check out DB Woodcraft's YouTube channel there if you haven't seen it already. But he has an amazing video up there at the moment showing the crafting of cannabis leaf out of a kind of a log of wood, a stump, a slice of a stump of wood. Really nice piece of work, and the I seen the finished piece then up on Twitter afterwards, all varnished and stuff like that. Like really nice. Like so, man, Bula Boss DB, that's some quality stuff. There's definitely a market out there for that. Anyway, that's for sure. But yeah, excellent stuff. Check out his YouTube page, guys, if you haven't done so already. DP then says, yeah, I haven't had a contact in years for good hash. As I say, guys, it's probably best just to make your own, grow your own weed, and then make your own hash out of the shake afterwards using ice and water and simple bubble bags. Bridget never mentioned anything about drugs, but she's young and has a lot of cop on compared to the bigger party candidates, and that's coming in from Miss Laois. Yeah, I definitely have a bit of concern there, I suppose, really, that there is going to be candidates that will see this as an issue, which will get them votes, so they will do what they can to support it, and they run up to election, and then they get in and sure they drop it again because it's not really something they ever really had an interest in anyway. But hopefully old Bridget isn't like that at all. Hopefully she'll be a saint. Get it, St. Bridget. I've got over 20 hemp seedlings in my greenhouse, going to distribute them soon. Go on, John, you legend. Get those photos into me once you get them distributed. And if you can at all, John, get down and pick up some of those labels. You get them in deals in some of the old pound shops and stuff like that around the place. They're just little white labels. They come with a little rectangular kind of one. And stick some hashtags there. Hashtag talk to Vera. Hashtag bring Alicia home. And any other hashtags you would like to include in them as well. Stick the hashtags in alongside of the plants. And hopefully that will encourage people to take photos and use those hashtags then as well as they share them. So again, well done to John and everybody else out there who has taken part in the grow your the cedar, geez, the Feed the Birds campaign and the Overgrow the Government campaign. D Pete says, love the bit of Moroccan myself. Will you make me some Zombie Nation? Is Ian getting a request there for some homemades? And Matthew Dunn says, yous are hardly pro Sinn Féin though. Me, I was once pro Sinn Féin, I suppose, when I was younger and when I was all about wolf tones and United Ireland and all of this kind of carry on. But as I got to learn a bit more about politics and stuff like that, I became less supportive of Sinn Féin. I like them, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? I like them more than the Green Party, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Labour. So they're up there, you know. I wouldn't say I dislike them, but I certainly wouldn't say I trust them at all. Anyway, that is for sure. Green Tea saying Miss Dow is she had a public meeting with Gino about legalisation. I believe it was last night or the night before. Yeah, I think it was last night that meeting was there last night at 8 o'clock. Again, I was looking around for content from that meeting, but I couldn't see anything from it at all online. Maybe something has gone up since, but I haven't seen anything at all. I would be very interested to hear what was said, you know, and how many people attended as well. And what's going on over there on Twitch? TM Cart saying, "Hey Martin, just tuning in for the first time on Twitch. Said I'd make it live instead of on YouTube." Um, yes, nice one for that over there. It's always good to see the audience growing a little bit in Twitch. It's always stuck on the kind of the 1, 2, and 3. I think the most I've ever had watching on Twitch at any one time was like 5 people. But yeah, maybe we can grow that audience over there over time. But you guys on YouTube are legends as well. I don't know what it is about YouTube why it just gets a bigger audience all of the time, but yeah, it just seems to have a bit more traction over there. DB Woodcraft saying, keep trying to contact Outlaw to get him on the show. We could all help. Definitely, guys, if you happen to be sending DB Wood, or if you happen to be sending Outlaw an old message, tell him about the show and tell him that it'd be great to have him to have an old chat with an activist like himself here in Ireland. He does it behind a mask, which probably for his own reasons. But for me, I'm kind of just straight out there. I'm doing it, and affect the government if they want to come after me. Come after me. Slimmer Slime, another 4 years of me holding company, question mark. Yeah, I question mark that as well. I wonder, like, you know, we've a by-election happening now, but if the government lose this by-election, if Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil or Green Party don't retain the seat, that's one less seat now for the government. That's just going to be a little less stability within the government of Ireland. They do still maintain a majority between the three of them, but still it's a slightly less of a majority now if they don't manage to retain that seat. So again, I wonder, like, you know, could we have an election again in summer 2022? Maybe we could have a spring cleaning of the government, you know, and another election come next February, March, April, who knows, like anything is possible at all, that's for sure. Maybe Santi might be nice to us at Christmas and grant us a new government. Is that what the Christmas trees were about there, Sir Hannibal? You're wishing for a new government for Christmas too? Other comments out there, guys, and moving on through them. Amy Riley says, pro-legalised cannabis party, introduce a new party where we all work together, regulating and helping each other. And shout out to John O'Regan. Anytime I heard of a cannabis legalisation party in Ireland, I always think of John O'Regan, because he is the man who wanted to do that and was trying to do that for so long, and he was unsuccessful at doing that. I believe it's still something he would like to do, and you know, I would love to be able to help him in doing that as well. It's just a difficult thing to do. You got to get 300 people together and to hold an AGM of some sort to vote on the party kind of structure and motto and ethos and all of that kind of stuff. And he wasn't able to do that. 300 people, it's a lot of people to be trying to coordinate, I suppose. And TM Cart is adding in there that Atman Falls introduced me to you a while ago, and I must say your advocacy for fair legalisation and regulation is something admirable. Well, thanks very much, TM Cart, and thanks very much, Man Falls, as well, for the recommendation of the show. Really, guys, all your kind words when I read them there, like, Jesus, it just gets in, it touches me. So I'm really moved by it. Thanks very much. And yeah, other comments out there. Just flicking through them. Amy Riley says, get Martin and John O'Regan in the dial and piss them all off. There you go. Like, I think myself and John would definitely be good candidates, and we could run as independents. We don't even have to do it as a party. We could run as independents that are running under an independent agreement. You know, what's that thing called? An independent alliance. That's it, an alliance of independents around cannabis and maybe drug policy reform. Skatana says the show was definitely tragically entertaining on that level. And John Finnegan says, I'm beginning to think we are all involved in one of Rick Sanchez's experiments. And guys, just to remind you as well, later on this evening, I'll be joining Zien and the rest of the crew over on the High and Homegrown podcast. The guys are going to kick it off at about 9 o'clock this evening for another live What are they calling it again? A stoner session. Jeez, what's it called? The smoke up. Jeez, I can't remember. The after session. They have a name for it anyway. It's something that they do on a Friday. Forgive me for not knowing what it was called again. But I'm going to join them over there for the conversation and to shoot the breeze a bit. There was a debate going on in the UK, and they're going to continue playing clips from that debate, and we're going to have some conversations around that debate from the UK. So that's the High and Homegrown podcast, guys, over on YouTube later on this evening at 9 o'clock. Green Tea says, I think we need to form our own union, lobby the government and give our endorsement to parties who support legal cannabis. That's a very good idea, to be fair. You know, if we can really work together and unify as many cannabis consumers under the one umbrella, you know, a union of sorts, that certainly would give us recognition. It's certainly been an idea that's been suggested a number of times. It's one that I'm actively working together at the moment, or working at the moment. We kind of have the Cannabis Activist Alliance, that's over on Facebook only at the moment, where the guys have been chatting. They kind of have a Zoom meeting every Tuesday evening. But it hasn't really progressed on from that. The membership, if anything, it's gotten smaller, unfortunately. But again, it is something that, that idea that you suggested there, Green Tea, it is something that I would love to see happen. I would love to see a unifying of our community in a formalized way, in order for us to get a much more better recognition. Teresa adding in, on the bog listening again, but forgot my frickin' lighter. We'll have to go into town after you to get one. Stoner woes. Yeah, it happens to the best of us, Teresa. I've often come up here to sit down and go live and been crap, I've no lighter, you know, and then just have to do the show without having a hit. Like, happens to the best of us. Amy Riley adding in, good stuff, Martin, and smash that like button, folks. Thanks very much, Amy. Podge adding in, that's why hash is such a nice long hit in a cold bong. Yeah, I actually forgot to add in ice cubes to my bong. It has ice notches and all in it to catch the ice cubes. I love putting a few ice cubes in there just to get that added cooling effect there to the smoke before you breathe it in, especially with the hash. Hash tends to burn a little bit hotter in the bowl, producing a bit of a harsher smoke because it can be a bit hotter. So you definitely do want to be taking that extra effort to cool it down for a kind of a smoother hit. But yeah, I like to put the few ice cubes in. Green Tea says, if we got a couple of 100,000 people to join a pro-cannabis union, we could all say we will give people before profit first preference for their bill, and if anyone else wants our transfers, back the bill. Yeah, that's a great way of doing it, you know. And if that's why it's so important that we unite and formalize. You know, it is important that we unite, but it's even more important then that we formalize it. We form a formal structure, you know, using the whatever means necessary. In Cork here, it's the local council you can register a club or an active interest group with, and we could utilize that for the same reasons as forming our kind of union group there as well. So again, as I said, this is an idea that I have been sitting with for a while. I have been actively working at it. I just haven't been successful in seeing it to fruition just yet. But I haven't given up. I'm still at it. We'll get there yet, Green Tea. Other comments. Gross Dr. Green Thumb says, I seen that on Twitter myself, Martin. The cannabis leaf looked brilliant. Yeah, I gave it a retweet there as well. It did. It looked incredible. And again, that's going back to DB Woodcraft's handiwork there. And DB is saying thanks there as well in the comments. Not a bother at all, DB. Fair play. Like, give credit where credit's due. And yeah, credit was certainly due. I certainly lack all artistic abilities myself when it comes to the hand carving stuff like that. You know, so fair play. I'm always inspired by people who got creative abilities such as you. So well done. other comments. Green Tea says, "Can I be chief debater because I have fantasies about dismantling Stephen Donnelly on national TV?" Yeah, not a bother at all. I'm happy to leave you be chief debater. Green Tea. That's no problem at all. We'll even arrange for our first debate to be with Stephen Donnelly. Sure. WRT. I get my hash from my trim bin, good quality too. Yeah, that's it. Let nothing go to waste. Utilize every part of the plant. And yeah, definitely those trimmings. Oh, the hash, like just it's so nice. Oh, and I love it. I use my fingernails to break it up. Like I kind of have a little bit big fingernails, but I love the smell of hash then off my fingernail afterwards as well. Like it's just so nice. Ah, um, Jesus, so many comments there, guys. You're legends, guys, and you're so interactive. Um, Amy Riley says, "Cheers to you two guys on here in the chats. Keep safe and well fighting for this." And Oisin Bradley Moore says, "I had a guard tell me weed was worse than heroin because of the THC levels in weed." Oh, these guards, man, they're hilarious, aren't they? They should have probably got into comedy rather than becoming a guard. Um, Mustawa says you can be master debater Green Tea. Um, Amy Martin is my email. He could pass it on to you if you want to chat about it. Yeah, get in touch. Let me know if you want me to pass along any contacts. Martin's World Podcast at gmail.com there, Amy, if you want to get in touch. Skatanist, People Before Profit is where it's at, I would say. Don't see any better alternative. Yeah, you're probably right when it comes to cannabis legalization. People Before Profit probably are the party more supportive of it at the moment. They seem to be the only party at all that have been putting any energy into it, while the Green Party might have included in their manifesto during the campaign time for the election. They didn't do anything once they were in power. At least Gino Kenny has put together, the medical cannabis bill back in 2016, and now he's going to be putting together a legalization of cannabis bill for adult use this year. So, People Before Profit is certainly where it's at the moment for us in the cannabis community. That is for sure. Amy Riley says, "Cool, but I'll be in touch. Won a school debate in first year. I'm joining the debate too." Yes. Welcome along, guys. And Zombie Nation says, "Any of you guys got any questions for Gino? We can ask for you." Yeah, guys, get your questions to the guys at High and Homegrown. They have a Facebook page. They have an Instagram page as well. And you can pop them a message there if you've got some questions for Gino. And once they get them on the show, they'll be able to ask those questions for you. So if you got some, get them on over to the guys there at Facebook, Twitter, even on Instagram and YouTube as well. So High and Homegrown Podcast, guys. Miss Dowes says, "A lot of outlaw limited points are valid in Ireland too." Yeah, they certainly are. They very much well are. And Green Tea says, "Yeah, Zombie, why do I still have to fill out a letter to the minister to get a prescription from Anora?" It's just backwards. The guys are just not making it easy for patients, unfortunately. If there's going to be loads of patients getting access and benefiting from it, well, that's not going to look good for the prohibitionists who've been trying to tell us all along that this stuff is bad for you. The original Christmas tree was a cannabis plant. That's interesting. I didn't know that. It's certainly a Christmas tree in my eyes because it's a plant that has gifts, full of gifts. Green Tea says, if Leo starts working out, he's about to collapse the government." Zombie Nation says, "Noted at Green Tea," and Bogwan says, "Vote for Alliance." John Finnegan saying the sesh. Oh, that's the boys' thing, the High and Homegrown podcast, the Friday evening, it's called the sesh. Nice one, John Finnegan. The Friday sessions. So WRT Gunner says, "Hope to see you all tonight in the High and Homegrown. brilliant bunch of lads. Yeah, it's good to see actually. There seems to be a nice sharing of audience there as well between myself and the guys at High and Homegrown. I wonder how many other podcasts, guys, that you listen to that have content much like myself, or the guys on High and Homegrown as well. Be interesting, if you hear of any other podcasts out there like the guys, and if you think that we might be good guests for their podcasts, do let the host know about us, I suppose, because it's good to get on other people's podcasts as well, especially if they're a little bit different to ours, because it has a different audience to further the reach to help get outside of that kind of echo chamber at times. So yeah, definitely open to suggestions there. Other comments, guys. Mark Andrew adding in all the lines of the Royal Hibernian Academy that doesn't recognise the border, the island of Ireland. Um, yeah, sorry, I'm lost on that one. Um, sorry about that, Mark. For us on the wrong side, please. Sorry, Mark, I got lost on that one. Just trying to think, but not lost. Bhagwan San says, yes, head's a bit light at the moment. I'll be at work, but I'll tune in at 9 tonight. That's the job. Podge85 says, hi and homegrown, it's on YouTube. Mustawe says, going to add waxy hash to this fatty. Yes, nice. I'm actually going to pack up another bowl there, guys, before I go and sign off in the next 5 minutes. Kieran C says, got blunt, got papers, got all the ingredients to make a nigga pie. Yes. Enjoy that one, man. Enjoy that, Kieran. Happy rolling, bro. Other comments there. Zien says, massive body stone though. I'm loving the flour and hash combos. Yeah, the hash definitely delivers on the body. At least this one does anyway, because it's from that kind of a variety. But it definitely depends on what you're getting your hash from as well. But yeah, the effects are great. The effects are well enjoyed. Yeah, DB Woodcraft says the only weed I can get is the do you want it or not strain. That's a shame to hear, man. I hate when that's the only thing on offer. You know yourself, the only thing you got to do in that situation, really, isn't it? It's you got to grow your own. That's kind of the only real option. But sometimes, look, obviously that isn't an option for some people. Hype TCK saying they haven't had anyone else complain strain. ZN saying I got fed up of that shit real quick, DBO craft, and I chose to grow now. Other comments, ZN says fireweed until you've paid for it. And Pods is adding in, I've had plenty of homemade hash over the years, but haven't had any Moroccan or any of that in a long time. And yeah, I've actually hadn't had any of that Moroccan stuff in a while myself, actually, too, in fairness. But I do have plans to get over there this year to Morocco. And I plan to bring, hopefully, some of you guys with me. But anybody not to be able to join me in person, well, the rest of you will be able to join me virtually as the show kind of goes live from there once we get over. So that's certainly on the agenda for this year. Get over and experience some of the culture of cannabis and hash over there in Morocco, and very much because I just want to taste some good quality Moroccan hash at source. Zien Adnin had some real nice squidgy black in Scotland a few years back. Scotland is the place for the hash. Yeah, a few years ago there was definitely squidgy going around the place over here as well, and some of it was good as well. Just some of it wasn't. Pods4420 says, definitely the 90s since I smoked a bit of squidgy black. What? Over 20 years, dude? No way. That's crazy. That is crazy to think. We'll have to sort that out. You're going to have to join me on this trip to Morocco and we'll get you some good stuff over there. ZN says, COVID has kind of pushed the people first agenda, may work in our favour. Yeah, that's what I've been saying at the start of this the pandemic as well. That basically this kind of in this together and saving all lives and all of this kind of stuff, that we should be using that narrative to our advantage, because some of the arguments made for protecting everybody, all of the vulnerable during the time of a pandemic, which is, you know, the virus-related one, but it also applies to the pandemic of drugs, you know, in our society, that we should have the same compassion and we should have the same approach to these people experiencing these problems, you know. So yeah, certainly we should be capturing and hijacking that narrative, and I know I've been trying to do that, the hashtag in this together and all of that kind of stuff, like, and all and all of those kind of ones that were going on there at the time. Gotta hijack that narrative. Hype TCK says, F's sake, last time I was in Scotland, there was a drought and I was the only person to bring Annie for 2 weeks. Lasted us 2 days. Ah, no. And nothing worse when you're the only one with some stuff there and there's a bunch of you there and you just like, yeah, you gotta share it, like it's not as enjoyable if you're enjoying it on your own, like, so you have to share it. Hype TCK says, an ounce of rock hard soap, that's how long ago it was. Fair enough, you wouldn't really mind sharing that anyway. ZN says, yeah, mate's dad was drug squad in the late 80s. We had loads of the stuff. Sneaking into daddy's car, we. ZN says, we love you, Martin's World. We love you too. I love all you guys. Much love. Thanks. A cross-border union of talkers, Mark Andrew adding in. Now that I can understand, yes, and I can agree with. I definitely think there is unity across the border when it comes to cannabis legalisation anyway, that is for sure. North, south of the border, even across the pond there over in the UK, like, us cannabis consumers, we can unify in that one. We'll all get along, like, we don't care. Skin colour, nationality, whatever, man, come on over, you're all our friends. Once we have a bong, we'll all get along. Yes. Alter Ego, Cannabis Lifestyle TV on here, Martin. Check them out. Definitely I will. Cannabis Lifestyle TV. I'll stick that one on my diary there to check them out and send a message that way and say hi, introduce myself. Kieran C says, who would be your favourite famous person you would like to smoke a big fatty with? For me, to be fair, man, who would that be? Who would I like to smoke a big fatty with? It would be probably Snoop or Joe Rogan, to be fair. Like, they're the two I'm thinking of. But if it could be absolutely anybody, even people gone and past, like, then probably Bob Marley would be the one I would choose. But that would be my top 3 anyway. Yeah, and I see Skatanis asking alive or dead. Yeah, so there you go. Like, there's a top of 3, a bit of a mix of alive and dead. Snoop and Joe Rogan would be the 2 I would pick alive, and yeah, definitely Bob Marley there, probably the dead one. I like those recommendations. Actually, Skatanis picked Alan Watts and Terence McKenna. That would be a nice one, actually. Yeah, that would be some great conversations. DB Woodcraft adding in here, I planted a few seeds, 2 popped up, 1 disappeared. Feckin' birds, I love them, but feckin' birds. That's the aim of the game, man. Feed the birds. ZN, so our pods says, laugh aloud, it went through many hands back in those days, mate. It wasn't just hands it was going through either, right? If you get what I mean, out the back end. Kieran C says, Tommy Chong would be classy, probably would smoke me under the table. Yeah, I must reach out to Tommy Chong actually and get him on the podcast to have a smoke and a chat. I know the lads over in High and Homegrown gave me a line of contact there to get in touch with them. I just haven't chased them up actually to get them on the show, and I really should do it for sure. Tommy Chong, like Cheech and Chong there. It'd be great to even get the two of them on together. Like, you know, what are the chances of that? I suppose you don't know unless you try. Um, Zombie Nation says, Red Seal for the win was my standard smoke through the 90s. Never heard of it. I'll have to look it up. Zian, we outsmoked Tommy at Caronzi. He couldn't cope with the COVID game. And that was every time you mentioned COVID, you have to take a bong hit or an old hit of whatever it was you were talking on, wasn't it, Zian? I remember that one. um, Mark Andrew, if it was legal, the police would love it. We'd all stay indoors. That's for sure. We would indeed. And Zien says he's coming back on in a few weeks. He likes us. That's the job. I'm going to try to get him on as well, I suppose, soon. It'll be good to get him on there. Maybe I might just join you on your podcast with him or something. We have an old convo there. But yeah, guys, I'm going to leave it at that there because I'm going to have to head on over now and attend another meeting with the Patients for Safe Access there. So that's just about to kick off there now in the next 2 minutes. But before I do, look, come on, focus. There we go, focus. Yes. Got a little bowl there with some hash on top. We'll blaze that one up with you guys, and then we will love ye and leave ye. Oh no. Some of me hash just fell. Sorted. That's what DB Woodcraft says. COVID was a blessing in disguise. Gave people time to reassess their lives and purpose. And apparently it was planned. Who knew it? Not sure the pandemic worked the way they planned. Watch that space. Nice one for that, DB. And Zian is saying, gotta do the Frenchy rolling cure on it at some point. Keep forgetting to buy the glass jars. Stoner effect. Yeah, all the hash is going to be gone before you get the jar again. I've tried it myself actually. I've done the Frenchy rolling cure, done the rolling and stuff. I think the next thing needed is going to be definitely a freeze dryer in order to kind of get the results there that Frenchie seems to get with his. I certainly got good results. I was happy with it when I tried it. But definitely, I wonder what the freeze dryer kind of adds to the experience. So right, guys. As I said, I'm going to love ye and leave ye. Zian says, so strange without a mic on my head. This is, I keep answering you, I'm Martin Sort. Zian, we'll have to get you on sometime. We'll have to get you on here, Zian, for now convo someday. To join in as part of the news or something like that. We'll have to make that happen. We'll have to get a bit more interactivity here on the show because it's fun and all bringing the 420 news, but it can get a bit lonely at times. So guys, enjoy your weekend. I will probably see again some of you. I'll definitely be chatting with yourself again later on this evening, Ian. But Podge and a couple of the other guys out there, I'll be certainly seeing yourselves in the audience of the High and Homegrown chat later this evening. So guys, have a lovely weekend. Stay blazed out there and keep her lit. Much love. Peace.